Number to call if you want to join the conversation, 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. Let's grab a phone call to start this segment. Let's go to John, Houston, Texas. John, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Brian, God bless you, man.
Thank you, sir, and I return that to you.
Thank you, and God bless future Senator Steve Lonegan.
Well, I think for a lot of people in the listening audience, the sound of Senator Steve Lonegan sounds pretty good. I mean, who would have thought that you have a genuine social conservative who is going to be the only Republican candidate in the field, even in the primary. So he is going to be the candidate that's going to run against probably Cory Booker in October. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun to watch.
I agree. Awesome guy. Anyway, I want to talk about the government stealing our information, stealing our intellectual private property, and violating our privacy. I think, in my view, it's kind of an inevitable overreach of government, and it's kind of a systemic problem. I think the government is not decentralized enough. Democracy, even what we have, a republic, is just not decentralized enough. And the people, the people, need to take some proactive steps to make our information anonymous. Specifically with the email, we can use encrypted email. So the judge says, turn over your email files to the company that holds all the emails. They turn over the files, and the files are encrypted. The judge can't do anything with them.
You know, and I understand. I saw a story this morning, John. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it's one of the email. No, maybe it's a cell phone carrier or a cell phone. I mean, they're concerned about this too, because they know this is bad for them. People don't want to know that the phone they buy and the plan they buy from Verizon or AT&T is going to mean the government can snoop. And somehow, I don't remember the details, but it was about a way to sort of block your phone and your cell phone transmissions from that kind of surveillance. So there may be some things that individuals can do to protect their privacy.
Right, exactly. And the only last thing I would mention is it's time I think a lot of people got aware of something called Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin. And what this is it's really an economic system. I won't get into the details. I won't bother you with that. But look it up. It's a way that people can protect their privacy in a whole bunch of other ways.
Yeah, it's kind of Bitcoin is sort of a digital currency is what it amounts to, and it's being presented by some people as sort of an alternative to the U.S. dollar as essentially a reserve-type currency. All right, John, listen, I appreciate the call. Thank you for that. You know, we were talking with Steve Lonegan running for the Senate in New Jersey, and he was verbalized an awareness of the serious threat that Islamic fundamentalism poses to us, the most serious threat we've had in decades. And we've seen in England, for instance, just how pervasive and how threatening Islamic fundamentalists have been there. I'm looking at a story from today from The Telegraph in London, which profiles or is a story about 6 Islamic fundamentalists that are from Birmingham, England. This is where they're from, or Birmingham is, I think how they say it there. And they're all devout Muslims, and they were planning to launch a race war in the UK. The gang of 6 Birmingham fanatics plotted to attack the demonstration. This is the demonstration of the English Defence League. They were going to blow up this demonstration with homemade bombs, with guns, and with knives. And they wanted to assassinate the leader of the English Defence League, Tommy Robinson. Now, they all pleaded guilty to this in court. They said, yeah, we did it. That's what we were about. And the only thing that protected perhaps Tommy Robinson's life is that these guys were late to the demonstration. By the time they got there, everybody had gone home. And it was just kind of by an accident at a traffic stop that their plot was uncovered. So Tommy Robinson is the head of a group called the English Defence League. And here was the message they sent to Tommy Robinson. We love death more than you love life. This was the direct message to the English Defence League. We love death more than you love life. The penalty for blasphemy of Allah and his messenger Muhammad is death. You are a people who are worse than animals. They refer to the Queen as a kafir female devil, and they refer to Prime Minister David Cameron as a kafir devil. Now, Jeff Reed, my producer, has been kind of monitoring this, and Jeff, this Tommy Robinson appeared last night on Bill O'Reilly's program, and I think you've got some sound bites for us about this group. So kind of set up these. We got 4 sound bites, I believe. Set up these sound bites and then walk us through them.
Yeah, well, there has been a rise in Europe. You know how sometimes we say if you want to see what's coming to America, just look at what's happening in Europe right
Absolutely.
now. And
Absolutely.
so, I mean, the fact that Bill O'Reilly had him on last night seems to garner that, or seems to show that there is some attention.
Well, and some credibility for Tommy Robinson and the English Defense League, because the Muslims want to paint them as these kind of neo-Nazi right-wing fascists, and I'm not saying we agree with everything they stand for, but what they are about is trying to protect the cultural heritage of their native land.
Right. Well, there are some questions about them, at least the English Defense League, because it actually started. Do you remember when it was the British soldiers came home in the town of Luton? And for the English, that's a great tradition. They bring out the kids, and everybody shows up and waves flags and cheers them on, just real appreciative of the soldiers. And the Muslims protested that with signs, yelling bad things and stuff. And anyways, a bunch of people got upset with that, and that was kind of the birth of the English Defense League.
All right. Well, walk us through these sound bites you've got for us.
Yeah, the first one is Bill O'Reilly's asking him what exactly is the English Defense League, and this is it.
Mr. Robinson, why don't you define your group for us and why you became involved in it?
We're a street protest movement, a pressure movement to put pressure on our politicians. We started 4 years ago due to an inability by the government or the police to tackle radical Islam. Our soldiers in Luton were abused on a homecoming parade by militant Islamists, and that was the final straw, basically. We're in the trenches here. We're on the front line trying to fight for Christianity, fight for our children's future, fight for our culture, and fight for our country's identity, which is completely under attack.
And that sets up the second bite. Jeff, set that one up for us and play it.
Okay, that is. Then he asks him about what the real problem is. What's the issue? Why are you doing this? And you know, there are some questions about, because they basically came out of an English soccer club type of thing. So there's a lot of association with them being hooligans. They've done very well at trying to change that image and police their own, but they've been known to stand up. But anyways, he asks them exactly what the problem is, and here it is.
In Britain, the Muslim population has pretty much doubled in 10 years, 2001, 2011. Why is that? Why are so many Muslims coming to Great Britain?
It doubles every 10 years. It's not just that they're coming here, it's the average birth rate. A Muslim male in this country is having 5.6 children. A non-Muslim male is having 1.3. Now that wouldn't be so much of a problem if they were integrating or assimilating in any way. But they're not. And quite frankly, if we bury our heads in the sand, we are sleepwalking into an oblivion in this country.
You know, and that's exactly right, Jeff. I mean, that's a concern that we have. The Muslims that come to our shores, just like those that come to England, they are not interested in becoming Americans. They're not interested in assimilation, and this is what you see everywhere around the world. It's not just a problem in the United States. It's not just a problem in England. It's a problem everywhere that significant numbers of Muslims immigrate. They want to develop their own enclaves. You got a lot of these no-go zones, 751 of them in France alone, where Europeans, French, native-born French don't even go. It's just too dangerous, and so they have a higher birth rate, and there's no interest in assimilation. We'll set up clip 3 for us.
Well, basically, the frustration, I think why they're getting so much support by the normal people is that they're frustrated that politicians aren't doing something about it, or at least taking a stand or speaking out on it. So there's been a growing frustration, almost a helplessness. And so when they see the English Defense League taking a stand, they may not agree with everything they do, but they admire the stand and want to get behind that. So let's hear what he says about the politicians.
David Cameron at present, he's like the boy that's been bullied and he's trying to make friends with the bully because he's too scared to stand up to him. They're constantly pandering to Islam, and they're constantly worried about what the Islamic community will do and how they will react to anything. And they're always fearful of offending Muslims, whereas in reality, the British public are offended on a daily basis.
So, you know, and we see kind of the same thing here, Jeff. It seems to me we've got the same kind of willful obtuseness on the part of our political leaders who do not even seem to be aware, or they don't want to be aware. I think they're aware. They just don't want to face the threat that Islam represents to America. And I think this last clip, Jeff, you can set this up, but they're running into the same accusations that we are here in America, that we're just nothing but a bunch of bigots and racists.
Yeah, let's see if this sounds familiar.
You've been called a fascist, a racist, and your group has been described by the British press as that.
That weak argument by calling us hooligans or racists or fascists is just the easiest way to stifle the debate, because then they don't actually have to address the points we're bringing up. But what's happening right now in this country, we're gaining so much support from so many different people that they're going to have to address these points.
And that's what they're trying to do, is force the issue into a discussion.
Well, you know, and it's what we've seen here in America with the left, that name-calling is the first refuge of a man without an argument. You can't deal with you can't win a debate on the ideas. You just start calling people names, and bigots and racists is the way to go. Well, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that little segment very much. Let's grab a phone call if we can before the break. Let's go to Ray in Tampa, Florida. Ray, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind? Ray, are you with me? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I am, Brian. God bless you, man. That's a wonderful account right there from the English Defense League. But you know what? The solution is we got to bind Satan. We have to bind that spirit that's causing these people to have this murder in their heart for all mankind. And, you know, the Bible says we deal not with flesh and blood. And so that's how we have to deal as Christians. And so I just like to say that that's really the solution to our problem, as well as speaking out, like the English Defense League is, and because he said it's bringing attention to the whole thing. And that's why what you do, and I, even as a minister, would speak out against these things, and it brings attention to the evil that's going on.
All right, that's a good call, Ray, and I appreciate that, you know, and very familiar verse, Ephesians 6, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the world forces of this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. And that's why we need to understand, and Ray's exactly right, what is behind Islam? What's animating that? What's energizing that? It's not just a human energy that we're up against. It's the Prince of Darkness himself who is behind providing all the energy, ideology for Islam. And we have tools, powerful weapons to confront him and defeat him. Focal Point AFR Talk.
Some say Christians who work to influence public